The first thing you need to know about my wife Diana is that she's never been wrong about anything in her entire life. At least, that's what she'll tell you. The second thing you need to know is that I'm writing this from a guest room that cost me $3,000 to turn into a fortress, and it was worth every damn penny. My name's Trevor Harlan, and I'm a project manager at Cascade Construction Supply. Nothing fancy. I coordinate deliveries, manage inventory, deal with contractors who think drywall grows on trees. It's honest work, pays the bills, and leaves me enough energy to work on my woodworking projects in the garage. Or at least it used to, before Diana decided I was sleeping on the couch. Let me back up. It started on a Tuesday in October. I remember because the leaves were that perfect New England gold, the kind that makes you forget winter's coming to kick your teeth in. I'd just gotten home from work, loosened my tie, yeah, even project managers wear ties sometimes, and was looking forward to a beer and maybe finishing that bookshelf I'd been building. That's when I saw Melissa struggling with a box. Melissa Chen had moved in next door about 3 weeks earlier. Mid-20s, worked remotely doing something with graphic design, seemed nice enough. We'd waved a few times, exchanged the usual, "How about this weather?" pleasantries. That Tuesday, she was trying to wrestle a massive box out of a delivery truck, and the driver had already peeled off. Common decency says you help, so I did. "Need a hand?" I called over. She looked up, grateful. "Oh my God, yes. I have no idea why I thought ordering a desk online was a good idea." The box probably weighed 60 pounds. We got it onto her porch. She thanked me profusely. I said no problem. And that was that. 5 minutes, tops. I thought nothing of it. Diana thought everything of it. I walked in to find her standing at the kitchen window, arms crossed, that look on her face. You know the one, the look that says you've already been tried, convicted, and sentenced, and now we're just going through the motions of the execution. "So," she said, voice ice cold, "that's Melissa." "Yeah, just helped her with a box. Heavy desk or something." I saw how you looked at her. I genuinely didn't know what she was talking about. How I looked at her. I barely looked at her. I looked at the box because I was carrying it. Don't gaslight me, Trevor. I know what I saw. This is where I should probably mention that Diana works in HR at a mid-size pharmaceutical company. She's good at her job, great even. She knows every buzzword, every corporate catchphrase, every way to make you feel like you're the problem, even when you're not. Gaslighting is her favorite lately. "I'm not gaslighting you," I said, keeping my voice level. "I helped a neighbor carry a box. That's literally all that happened. You were ogling her." I was not ogling anyone. Jesus, Di, she's our neighbor. I was being neighborly. Right, neighborly. She made air quotes. I hate air quotes. You know what? Fine. You want to be neighborly? You can be neighborly on the couch tonight? I stared at her. You're kidding. Do I look like I'm kidding? She didn't. Diana's got this way of setting her jaw that means the discussion's over, the verdict's in, and appeals are not being heard. I'd seen it before, usually over stupid stuff, like the time I forgot to text her I'd be late because I was helping Ray move, or when I bought the wrong brand of yogurt. But this felt different. This felt deliberate. Fine, I said. Because here's the thing about me. I don't do pointless arguments. If Diana wanted me on the couch, I'd sleep on the couch. More space, less snoring. Win-win. That first night, I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to the house settle around me. Our place is a decent-sized colonial, built in the 80s, with that particular New England charm that means everything's slightly crooked, but sturdy enough to outlast you. 3 bedrooms upstairs, master, guest room, and Diana's office. That's really just where she keeps her Peloton and 75 throw pillows. The couch was lumpy. My back hurt. And somewhere around 2 in the morning, I had a thought. Why am I the one suffering here? The next day, I stopped at Target on my way home, bought a decent air mattress, some sheets, a reading lamp. Ray noticed me loading it all into my truck. "You getting a camping itch or something?" he asked. Ray's my coworker, 6'4", built like a brick wall with a laugh that could wake the dead. Good guy, loyal as they come. Nah, just upgrading my sleeping situation. Diana kick you to the couch? How'd you know? Brother, I've been married twice. I know the signs. What did you do? Helped the neighbor carry a box. Ray let out a low whistle. That's it? Man, you got off easy. My first wife kicked me out for a week because I complimented her sister's haircut. What did you do? Got a hotel room, enjoyed the peace and quiet, came back when she cooled down. He clapped me on the shoulder. My advice? Don't apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. I took his advice to heart. That evening, I set up in the guest room. Diana watched from the doorway, arms crossed again. That seemed to be her default position lately. What are you doing? Making myself comfortable, I said, inflating the air mattress. If I'm not sleeping in our bed, might as well do it right. The guest room is for guests. Well, apparently I'm a guest in my own house now, so it fits. Her jaw tightened. Don't be dramatic. I'm not. I'm being practical. I plugged in the lamp. Tested it. Perfect. You wanted me out of the bedroom. I'm out. This works better than the couch. She stood there for a long moment, clearly trying to figure out her next move. Finally, she just turned and walked away. I heard her bedroom door, our bedroom door, slam shut. Over the next week, I upgraded. Went to IKEA, got a real bed frame and mattress. Nothing fancy, but comfortable. Added a small TV, a PlayStation I'd been meaning to buy anyway, a mini fridge, blackout curtains because the morning sun hit that room hard, a decent rug, some posters, classic rock bands, a vintage Red Sox pennant. The guest room became my space, my sanctuary, and I liked it. Diana did not like it. This is ridiculous, she said, standing in the doorway one evening. You've turned the guest room into a man cave. Yep. We have guests sometimes, Trevor. When's the last time we had guests stay over? She thought about it. My sister visited last Christmas. That was 10 months ago, and she stayed at a hotel because you two fought on day one. That's not the point. What is the point, Di? The point is you're acting like a child. I was sitting on my new bed, controller in hand, playing some zombie shooter Ray had recommended. I paused it, looked at her, really looked at her. Diana's pretty, always has been. Dark hair, sharp cheekbones, the kind of put-together look that comes from an hour in front of the mirror every morning. But lately, there was something hard in her eyes, something calculating. I'm acting like a child because I made my forced exile comfortable? That's an interesting take. You weren't forced. You could apologize. For what? Helping a neighbor? For making me feel disrespected. There it was. The HR speak. Making her feel something, which meant it was automatically my fault, regardless of intent or reality. I didn't disrespect you, Diana. I carried a box. That's it. You don't get to tell me how I feel. And you don't get to punish me for something I didn't do. We stared at each other. Finally, she turned and left. But this time, she didn't slam the door. She closed it quietly, which somehow felt worse. The next day, I installed a keypad lock on the guest room door. The lock was the nuclear option, and I knew it. But here's what had happened. I'd come home from work to find Diana in my room, going through my stuff. Not even hiding it. Just standing there, rifling through the drawers of my new dresser. What are you doing? I'd asked. She'd barely looked up. This is my house, too. That's my room. We don't have separate rooms, Trevor. We're married. Yeah, well, you kicked me out of the bedroom, so now we do have separate rooms. She'd found my old journal, nothing scandalous, just work notes and project ideas, and was flipping through it. That's when I snapped. Put that down. Or what? Or I'm putting a lock on the door. She'd laughed. Actually laughed. You wouldn't dare. So I did. The keypad lock cost $80 at Home Depot. Took me 20 minutes to install. I set the code to my dad's birthday. Diana had never bothered to remember it, so I knew she wouldn't guess. When she discovered it that evening, all hell broke loose. You locked me out? She was standing in the hallway, furious, stabbing at the keypad. You actually locked me out of a room in my own house? Our house, I corrected, coming up the stairs. And yes, you don't respect my privacy, so now it's enforced. This is insane. You're insane. I'm practical. There's a difference. Open this door right now. No. Her face went red. I'd never seen her that angry. Trevor Michael Harlan, you open this door, or I swear to God. You'll what? Kick me out of another room? I'm running out of places to go, Di. She grabbed her phone, started dialing. I'm calling my sister. Give Jen my best. She stormed off, and I heard her in the bedroom, voice rising and falling in that particular cadence that meant she was working herself into a righteous fury. I went into my room, my locked room, and cracked open a beer from my mini-fridge. It was the best beer I'd had in months. The next day, Diana's best friend Cassandra showed up. I knew this would happen. Cassandra's one of those women who lives for drama, the kind who posts cryptic Facebook statuses about knowing your worth and cutting toxic people out. She's an Instagram influencer wannabe with about 3,000 followers, most of them bots. She cornered me in the driveway as I was leaving for work. Trevor, we need to talk. Good morning to you too, Cassandra. Don't be cute. Diana told me what you did. I'm sure she did. Let me guess. I'm a controlling monster who's emotionally abusing her by having boundaries? Cassandra's eyes narrowed. You put a lock on a door to keep your wife out. That's not boundaries, that's hostile. She went through my private things without permission. That's not concern, that's invasive. She's worried about you. She's mad I'm not rolling over and apologizing for something I didn't do. You flirted with the neighbor. I carried a box. Diana knows what she saw. I looked at Cassandra, really looked at her. She was wearing workout gear even though I'd never seen her work out, holding one of those massive Starbucks drinks that cost more than my lunch. She wanted to be part of this drama so badly I could practically see her composing the Instagram post in her head. Cassandra, with all due respect, this is between me and Diana. You being here doesn't help. I'm here to support my friend. Great. Support her by telling her to talk to me like an adult instead of sending proxies. I got in my truck and left her standing there. In the rearview mirror, I saw her already on her phone, probably texting Diana, definitely posting something passive-aggressive online. Work was a relief. At Cascade, problems were concrete. Someone ordered the wrong size lumber, fix it. Delivery truck broke down, find another. Contractor being a pain, handle it. None of this emotional minefield nonsense. Ray found me at lunch, sitting in my truck with a sandwich. Heard you put a lock on your door, he said, climbing into the passenger seat uninvited. That was Ray. No concept of personal space, but you couldn't help but like him. News travels fast. Small warehouse, you know how it is. So you really lock your wife out? She was going through my stuff? Ah, he nodded sagely. Yeah, that'll do it. My second wife used to read my texts while I was in the shower, drove me nuts. What did you do? Changed my passcode. She lost her mind. We were divorced 6 months later. He took a bite of his sandwich. Meatball sub, sauce dripping everywhere. Not saying that's where you're headed, but might want to brace yourself. You think Diana wants a divorce? Ray shrugged. I think she wants control, and you just took some back. People don't like that. He wasn't wrong. That evening, I came home to find Diana had invited Melissa over for dinner, and Melissa's boyfriend, some tech guy named Brad, who talked too much about cryptocurrency. It was the most transparently passive-aggressive move Diana had ever pulled. Trevor, Diana said brightly when I walked in. Too brightly. Look who's here. I invited our neighbors over to get to know them better. Isn't that nice? Melissa looked uncomfortable. Brad looked oblivious. I looked at Diana and saw exactly what this was. A test, a performance, a way to prove to herself and to me that she was right about whatever she thought she'd seen. That's great, I said, matching her fake enthusiasm. Let me just get changed. Dinner was excruciating. Diana kept steering the conversation toward me and Melissa, making pointed comments. Trevor's so helpful, isn't he? Always ready to lend a hand. Or, Melissa, you must appreciate having such a strong neighbor nearby. Melissa caught on quick. She started directing all her comments to Diana or Brad, barely looking at me. Brad, bless his oblivious heart, just kept talking about blockchain. I decided to flip the script. So Diana, I said, cutting into my chicken. How's work been? You've been staying late a lot lately. She stiffened slightly. Busy season? Right. All those HR emergencies. What's kept you so late? Last week you didn't get home until almost 10. Just meetings, paperwork. On a Thursday night? Trevor. Her voice had an edge. I don't question your work schedule. That's because I'm home by 6 every day. I smiled at Melissa and Brad. Perks of working at a supply warehouse. Regular hours. The rest of dinner was tense. Melissa and Brad left early, making excuses about Brad's early morning meeting. After they left, Diana turned on me. What the hell was that? What was what? Interrogating me about work in front of guests. I asked about your schedule. That's not interrogating. You were trying to embarrass me. I was making conversation. Isn't that what you wanted? For us all to be friendly? She stared at me, and for just a second, I saw something flicker across her face. Guilt? Fear? It was gone before I could identify it. I'm going to bed, she said. Good night. I went to my room, locked the door behind me, and sat on my bed. Something was off. Diana's reaction, the late nights, the whole performance with Melissa, it all added up to something, but I couldn't quite see the shape of it yet. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Adams, our neighbor on the other side. Mrs. Adams was 70-something, lived alone since her husband died, and knew everything that happened on our street. Everything. The text read, Trevor, dear, I don't mean to pry, but I've noticed a silver BMW parked outside your house late at night several times this week when Diana's car is there, but yours isn't. Just thought you should know. Hope everything's all right." I stared at that text for a long time. Then I started making plans. The thing about being a project manager is you learn to gather information before making decisions. You don't order materials until you've checked inventory. You don't schedule deliveries until you've confirmed the site's ready. And you definitely don't confront your wife about a mysterious BMW until you know exactly what you're dealing with. So I started watching, and listening, and documenting. It wasn't hard. Diana had gotten sloppy, comfortable in her assumption that I was too oblivious or too beaten down to notice. She'd leave her phone charging in the kitchen while she showered. Her laptop stayed open on the dining room table. She took calls in the backyard, thinking the sliding door muffled her voice more than it did. The phone was easiest. Her passcode was Buttons1, our old cat's name, the one we'd had when we first got married. He died 3 years ago, and Diana had never changed the code. Sentiment, maybe, or just laziness. I waited until she was in the shower one morning, grabbed her phone, and scrolled through her texts. Most were boring. Work stuff, messages with Cassandra about some restaurant they wanted to try, a group chat with her book club that definitely never discussed books. Then I found the thread labeled J. My stomach dropped as I scrolled through. Nothing explicit. Diana was too smart for that. But the implication was clear. Late-night messages. "Can you come over?" And "He's working late." Responses. "On my way and miss you." Plans to meet. References to our spot. One message from 3 days ago. "We need to be more careful. He's suspicious." I took screenshots, sent them to my email, deleted the sent messages from her phone, put it back exactly where I found it. My hands were shaking. At work, I couldn't focus. Ray noticed. "You look like hell," he said, finding me in the warehouse office, staring at nothing. "I think Diana's cheating on me." He sat down heavy in the chair across from me. "Shit. You sure?" "Not 100%, but close enough." "What are you going to do?" "Find out who, then figure out the rest." "You need help?" I looked at him. Ray, who'd been through 2 divorces, who knew exactly how bad this could get, was offering to help anyway. That's friendship. "Yeah," I said. "I do." That evening, we installed a dash cam in my truck, positioning it so it faced my driveway. The camera had night vision and motion detection. If anyone pulled up to my house, I'd have footage. I didn't have to wait long. Thursday night, I told Diana I was working late. Inventory check. Happens once a month. She seemed relieved, almost excited. I drove to the warehouse, parked my truck with a clear view of the street, and waited in Ray's car around the corner from my house. At 8:30, a silver BMW pulled into my driveway. The driver got out, and even in the dim streetlight, I recognized him. Julian Finch. Local real estate hotshot, ran Finch Properties downtown. I'd seen his face on bus benches and billboards. "Your dream home awaits," with his $1,000,000 smile. He walked up to my front door like he owned the place. Didn't even knock. Just walked in. "That's him?" Ray asked. We were sitting in his car 3 houses down, watching through binoculars like a couple of idiots. "That's him?" Man, she went for the full cliché. Rich guy, fancy car, probably tells her she's special. Probably. We sat there for 2 hours. At 10:30, Julian came out, Diana walking him to the door. They kissed. Not a peck. A full-on, hands-in-hair, movie scene kiss. Then he got in his BMW and drove off. I had Ray drop me back at the warehouse. I sat in my truck for a while, looking at the dash cam footage on my phone. Crystal clear, time-stamped, undeniable. Part of me wanted to drive home right then, throw open the door, and confront her. But that's not how you win. That's how you lose control, say things you regret, give her ammunition to paint you as the bad guy. No. This required planning. I drove home at 11, my usual time for inventory nights. Diana was in bed, pretending to be asleep. I could tell by her breathing. Too controlled, too even. "Hey," I said softly. "You awake?" Barely. How was work?" "Long. I'm exhausted." "Okay. Good night." I went to my room, locked the door, and started organizing my evidence. Screenshots, dash cam footage, Mrs. Adams's text. I created a folder, backed it up to 3 different places: cloud, external drive, email. Then I looked up Julian Finch. The internet's a beautiful thing. In 20 minutes, I knew he was 38. Divorced once, owned Finch Properties for 6 years, lived in a condo downtown, and had a reputation as a ladies' man. One Yelp review of his business even mentioned it. "Great agent, but keep your wife away from him. He's got wandering eyes and no shame." I also found his business partner, Pete Mallory. They'd started the company together. Pete's social media was public, full of photos from company events. In several, I spotted Diana, at a charity gala, at an open house, at what looked like a bar, laughing with Julian and Pete. How long had this been going on? I didn't sleep that night. Just lay there, staring at my ceiling, feeling the foundation of my life crack and shift beneath me. The next morning, I called a lawyer, not to file for divorce, not yet, but to understand my options, what I could and couldn't do, how to protect myself. The lawyer, a sharp woman named Patricia Reeves, laid it out plainly. Document everything. Don't do anything illegal. Don't threaten her. Don't damage property. And for God's sake, don't hit anyone, no matter how much you want to. I'm not violent, I said. Good. Keep it that way. Anger makes people stupid, and stupid loses divorces. I thanked her, paid her retainer, and left with a plan forming in my mind. That evening, I printed out the screenshots and dashcam photos. Not all of them, just enough to make the point. I arranged them neatly on the kitchen table, each one showing a different angle, a different moment, Diana and Julian's text messages, the BMW in our driveway, the kiss. Then I left, went to Murphy's, the local bar, and waited. Murphy's is the kind of bar that's been there forever, with sticky floors and a jukebox that only plays classic rock. The bartender, Tina, is 50-something, takes no crap from anyone, and remembers everything. She's seen me there a handful of times over the years, always friendly, always professional. Trevor, she said when I sat down. Beer? Yeah, whatever's on tap. She poured me a Guinness, slid it over. You look like you're waiting for something. Or avoiding something. Ah, one of those nights. She moved down the bar to help another customer, leaving me alone with my thoughts. My phone sat on the bar, face up. I watched it like it might explode. Any minute now, Diana would get home, see the photos, and all hell would break loose. It took 30 minutes. When my phone rang, I almost didn't answer, but that was the coward's way out, and I'd already decided I wasn't going to be a coward about this. Hello? What the hell is this? Diana's voice was shrill, panicked. What are these pictures? Evidence. Evidence of what? You spying on me? Evidence of you cheating on me, with Julian Finch, in our house, while I was at work. Silence. Long enough that I thought she might have hung up. Then, Trevor, I can explain. I'm sure you can. I'm at Murphy's. Come down here if you want to talk. I'm not having this conversation in a bar. Then we're not having it at all. Your choice. I hung up. Tina came back over, refilled my beer without asking. Trouble at home? You could say that. Need anything stronger? Not yet. Maybe later. 20 minutes later, Diana walked in. She looked frantic. Hair not perfectly styled, makeup smudged like she'd been crying. She spotted me, marched over. We need to talk, in private. We can talk right here. Trevor, please. Sit down, Diana. She sat rigid and angry. Tina came over, looked at Diana. Drink? Water. Tina raised an eyebrow, but got the water. After she left, Diana leaned in close. You had no right to go through my phone. You had no right to sleep with Julian Finch. I'm not... She caught herself. It's not what you think. Really? Because I think you've been having an affair. I think you kicked me out of our bedroom so you could have Julian over whenever I worked late. I think you accused me of flirting with Melissa to justify what you were already doing. Am I wrong? Her face crumpled. For a second, I almost felt bad. Almost. How long? I asked. Trevor. How long, Diana? 4 months. 4 months. A third of a year. All those late nights at work. All those times she'd been distant, cold, picking fights over nothing. It all made sense now. Why? She looked at me, and I saw something I hadn't seen in a long time. Vulnerability. Because you stopped seeing me. You stopped trying. It was like I was just there. Part of the furniture. So you cheated. I needed to feel wanted. And Julian made you feel wanted. Yes. I drank my beer. Tina was watching from the other end of the bar, pretending not to listen, but definitely listening. Everyone in Murphy's was listening. Small town, big drama. Here's what's going to happen, I said. I've already talked to a lawyer. I've got documentation of everything. You're going to move out. It's my house, too. Then we'll sell it and split the proceeds, but I'm not living with you anymore. Trevor, wait. Can't we? Can't we what? Work it out? Go to counseling? Diana, you've been sleeping with another man in our bed for 4 months. There's nothing to work out. I made a mistake. You made a choice. Multiple choices. Every time you texted him, every time you let him into our house, every time you lied to my face. Those weren't mistakes. They were decisions. She started crying. Real tears this time. I'm sorry. I'm sure you are, now that you got caught. I stood up, threw cash on the bar for Tina. Diana grabbed my arm. Where are you going? Home. To my locked room. You can sleep wherever you want. I don't care anymore. I left her there, crying in Murphy's while the whole bar watched. It should have felt like a victory. Instead, it just felt hollow. When I got home, I half expected to find Julian's BMW in the driveway, but it was empty. I went inside, locked myself in my room, and finally let myself feel it. The anger, the betrayal, the humiliation. I'd been so focused on staying calm, on being strategic, that I hadn't let myself actually process what had happened. My wife had cheated on me for months in our home, and I'd been so clueless, so trusting, that I hadn't seen it until a nosy neighbor tipped me off. I punched the wall. Once, hard enough to hurt my hand, but not hard enough to put a hole in the drywall. Then I sat on my bed and put my head in my hands. My phone buzzed. Ray. You okay, man? Me? Not really. Ray. Want company? Me. Tomorrow. Tonight I just need to be alone. Ray. Okay. Call if you need anything. I didn't sleep that night either, just lay there, listening to Diana move around the house. At one point, she tried my door. The handle jiggled, then she knocked. Trevor, can we please talk? No. I know you're angry, but... Diana, go away. She did, eventually. The next morning, I found her asleep on the couch. Poetic justice, I guess. I left for work without waking her. At Cascade, I tried to focus on work, but word had already spread. Small town, remember? Tina probably told 3 people, who each told 3 more, and now everyone knew Trevor Harlan's wife was cheating on him. Ray found me at lunch again. Heard it got messy last night. Who told you? My cousin was at Murphy's. Said Diana showed up crying, you called her out, and the whole bar went silent. Great, I'm entertainment now. Hey, better than being the clueless husband. I was the clueless husband for 4 months. But now you're the guy who caught her and didn't take her crap. That's different. I wasn't sure if that was better, but I appreciated Ray trying. That afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered anyway. Trevor Harlan? Yeah? This is Julian Finch. I think we should talk. My grip tightened on the phone. About what? About this situation, man to man. There's no situation. You slept with my wife. I'm divorcing her. That's it. Look, I know you're angry, but what? You want to explain? Apologize? Tell me it meant nothing? I want to make sure we're clear on something. Diana and I, we care about each other. This wasn't just some fling. I laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, that makes it so much better. Thanks for clarifying. Don't be a dick about this. Don't be a dick? You're sleeping with my wife and you're telling me not to be a dick? I'm trying to be civil. Civil? You want civil? Fine. Stay away from me, stay away from my house, and when the divorce is final, you can have her. How's that for civil? Trevor? I hung up. Then I blocked his number, but Julian wasn't done. That evening, I got a text from Diana. Julian wants to meet with you, please. We need to settle this like adults. Me. Tell Julian to go to hell. Diana. You're being childish. Me. I'm being childish? You cheated on me and I'm the childish one? Diana. We can't move forward if you won't communicate. Me. I don't want to move forward with you. I want you out of my life. She didn't respond after that. But the next night, Julian showed up at my house. I was in the garage, working on a chair I'd been building. Woodworking clears my head, always has. The smell of sawdust, the precision of measurements, the satisfaction of creating something with your hands. It's therapeutic. I heard the car pull up, heard the engine cut, then footsteps. I turned to see Julian Finch standing in my driveway, hands in his pockets, looking like he owned the world. Trevor, he said, we need to talk. I set down my sander. I told you to stay away. And I told you we need to settle this. Diana's a mess. You're making this harder than it needs to be. I'm making this hard? That's rich. He stepped closer. Julian was maybe 6 feet, well-built in that gym membership way, wearing expensive jeans and a polo shirt that probably cost more than my entire outfit. Everything about him screamed money and arrogance. Look, he said, I get it. You're hurt. But Diana and I are together now. You dragging this out doesn't help anyone. Together now? That's cute. You think she won't do the same thing to you? That's different. How? Because I actually pay attention to her. I make her feel valued. And I didn't? Did you? He tilted his head. When's the last time you took her out? Bought her something nice? Made her feel special? I stared at him. You're really going to stand in my driveway and tell me my marriage failed because I didn't buy enough flowers? I'm saying you got comfortable, complacent, and Diana deserves better. Something in me snapped. Not violently. I wasn't going to hit him, no matter how much I wanted to, but I was done playing nice. You know what, Julian? You're right. Diana deserves better. She deserves someone who'll cheat on her, lie to her, and make her feel like garbage. Congratulations. You're perfect for each other. His jaw tightened. Watch it. Or what? You'll steal my wife? Too late. I could make things very difficult for you. How? You going to ruin my reputation? Everyone already knows you're sleeping with my wife. You going to threaten me? I've got documentation of everything. You going to intimidate me? I stepped closer. I'm a project manager at a construction supply warehouse. I deal with pissed-off contractors every day. You think you scare me? We were face to face now. Julian's eyes were hard, calculating. He was used to getting his way, used to people backing down, but I wasn't going to back down. Not this time. Stay away from Diana, he said quietly. Diana's the one who needs to stay away from me, and so do you. You show up here again, I'm calling the cops. For what? I'm just talking. Trespassing, harassment, take your pick. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he smiled, cold, mean. You know, Trevor, I almost feel bad for you, holding on to someone who doesn't want you anymore. It's pathetic. And sleeping with someone else's wife is classy? She came to me. Because you pursued her. Don't pretend you're innocent in this. I didn't have to pursue hard. She was ready to jump. That one stung. He saw it too. His smile widened. Face it, he said. You lost. Diana's mine now. The sooner you accept that, the easier this'll be. I could have said a lot of things. Could have pointed out that winning a cheater isn't much of a prize. Could have told him about the lawyer, the documentation, the fact that I was going to make this divorce as complicated as legally possible. Could have warned him that Diana's pattern of behavior didn't bode well for their future. Instead, I picked up my sander, turned it on, and went back to work on my chair. Julian stood there for a minute, clearly expecting more of a reaction. When he didn't get one, he left. I heard his BMW roar to life. Heard him peel out of my driveway like a teenager. I kept sanding. Ray showed up an hour later. Heard Julian paid you a visit. How does everyone know everything in this town? Mrs. Adams saw his car, texted her daughter, who texted her son, who works with my buddy Mike. You know how it goes. He wanted to warn me off Diana. What did you do? Ignored him, Ray grinned. That probably pissed him off more than if you'd hit him. That was the idea. We sat in the garage, drinking beers, not saying much. That's the thing about good friends. They know when you need silence more than advice. Finally, Ray said, You know this isn't over, right? Guys like Julian, they don't like being dismissed. Let him try something. I've got nothing left to lose. That's what worries me. But Ray was right. It wasn't over. 2 days later, I got a call from Diana. We need to talk about the house. Talk to my lawyer. Trevor, please. Can we just... No. Everything goes through Patricia now. That's how this works. You're really going to lawyer up over this? You really cheated on me for 4 months. Yeah, I'm lawyering up. And she hung up on me. That evening, Cassandra showed up, again, this time with Pete Mallory, Julian's business partner. They cornered me as I was getting out of my truck. Trevor, Cassandra said, we need to talk about how you're handling this. We really don't. Pete stepped forward. He was shorter than Julian, stockier, with thinning hair and a nervous energy. Look, man, I know you're pissed, but you're making this a public spectacle. I'm making it a spectacle? Diana's the one who cheated. Yeah, but you're the one dragging everyone into it, Cassandra said. The whole town's talking. Not my problem. It is your problem, Pete said. Julian's reputation is suffering. So is Diana's. You need to back off. I looked at Pete, really looked at him. Something in his eyes, the way he kept glancing at Cassandra, the defensive posture. And suddenly, I understood. You're in love with her, I said. Pete blinked. What? Diana. You're in love with her. That's why you're here. Not because of Julian's reputation, because you want her for yourself. Cassandra's eyes widened. Pete, is that true? Pete's face went red. That's not... I'm just trying to help. Help yourself, maybe, I laughed. Man, Diana really has a type. Guys who'll chase after married women. Screw you, Pete said, but there was no heat in it, just embarrassment. Pete, Cassandra said, we should go. They left. I went inside, locked myself in my room, and pulled up Pete's social media. Sure enough, dozens of photos with Diana over the years. At company events, at bars, at restaurants. Always hovering near her, always looking at her like she was the only person in the room. Julian had competition, and he probably didn't even know it. This was getting messy, and I was going to make it messier. Here's what I learned from 2 divorces. Ray's, not mine. The best revenge isn't violence or destruction. It's exposure. It's letting people see exactly who they're dealing with, stripping away the facade and watching everything crumble under the weight of truth. So that's what I did. First, I sent the dashcam footage and screenshots to Patricia, my lawyer. She filed them with the court as evidence of adultery. In our state, that mattered for divorce proceedings. Diana would get less, I'd get more. Simple. Second, I sent anonymous copies to Julian's ex-wife. She'd divorced him 3 years ago, and according to public records, they had a contentious relationship. She deserved to know he hadn't changed. Third, I made a Facebook post. Nothing dramatic, nothing angry. Just, after 12 years together, Diana and I are getting divorced. I wish her and Julian Finch all the best in their relationship. Sometimes people grow apart, and that's okay. Polite, mature, and absolutely devastating, because now it was public, official. Everyone knew Diana had cheated with Julian. No more whispers, no more speculation, just facts. The responses were immediate. Friends and family expressing shock, offering support, asking what happened. Diana's social media went dark within an hour. Julian's business Facebook page got flooded with comments. Some supportive, many not. Cassandra tried to do damage control, posting about not judging and hearing both sides, but it was too late. The narrative was set. Fourth and most satisfying. I went to Murphy's on Friday night, bought a round for everyone at the bar, and told Tina, "Thanks for looking out for me." She smiled. "Anytime, hun." Word spread fast. By Saturday, half the town knew I'd handled the situation with class. The other half knew Diana and Julian as cheaters. Public opinion is a powerful thing. But I wasn't done. See, Julian had made a mistake. He'd threatened me, told me to back off, showed up at my house, and in doing so, he'd given me justification for what came next. Ray and I went to Julian's condo on Sunday night. Not to vandalize, that would be illegal. Not to threaten, that would be stupid. Just to deliver a message. We waited until Julian pulled into his parking spot. When he got out, Ray and I were standing there. "Evening, Julian," I said. He looked between us, clearly trying to decide if he should run or fight. "What do you want?" "Just wanted to return something." I held up a folder. "This is every piece of evidence I have about you and Diana. Photos, texts, timestamps. My lawyer has copies. The court has copies. And if anything happens to me, anything at all, these go public. To your clients, your business partners, your family, everyone." Julian's face went pale. "You're blackmailing me." "I'm protecting myself. There's a difference." "You can't." "I can, and I will. Stay away from me, stay away from my house, and we're done. Keep pushing, and I'll make sure everyone in this town knows exactly what kind of man you are." Ray cracked his knuckles. He didn't say anything. Didn't have to. Julian looked at the folder, at me, at Ray. Finally, he nodded. "Fine. We're done." "Good." We left. In the truck, Ray started laughing. "Man, you should have seen his face. He looked like he was going to piss himself." "Good. You really got copies of everything?" "Yep. And I sent them to 3 different people with instructions to release them if something happens to me. I'm not taking chances." "Smart." The next week, Diana moved out. She didn't fight it, didn't argue, just packed her stuff and left. I helped her load boxes into her car, not out of kindness, but because I wanted her gone faster. "Where are you going?" I asked. "Julian's." "Good luck with that." She looked at me, and for a second I saw regret. "Trevor, I really am sorry." "I know." "Do you think we could ever—" "No." She nodded, got in her car, and drove away. I stood in the driveway watching her leave and felt nothing. No sadness, no anger, no relief. Just nothing. Mrs. Adams came over later with a casserole. "I heard Diana moved out." "Yep. Good riddance, if you ask me. That woman never appreciated you." "Thanks, Mrs. Adams." "You'll find someone better, dear. Someone who deserves you." I wasn't sure I wanted to find anyone, but I appreciated the sentiment. The divorce took 3 months to finalize. Diana didn't contest it, probably because Patricia made it clear that fighting would only expose more of her affair. We split the assets, sold the house, and went our separate ways. I bought a smaller place across town. Nothing fancy, but it had a garage for my woodworking and a guest room I could turn into whatever I wanted. Julian and Diana lasted 6 months before she caught him cheating, with Cassandra, of all people. The irony was delicious. Pete tried to swoop in after that, but Diana shut him down. Last I heard, she moved to Boston for a fresh start. Julian's business took a hit. Not enough to bankrupt him, but enough to hurt. Turns out people don't like doing business with known cheaters. Who knew? As for me, I'm doing fine. Better than fine, actually. I've got my woodworking, my job, and a circle of friends who actually have my back. Ray's still my best friend. Mrs. Adams still brings me casseroles. Tina still pours me beers at Murphy's. And the guest room? It's still my fortress, my space, my sanctuary. Because here's the thing I learned. You don't need to destroy someone to win. You just need to protect yourself, stand your ground, and let their own choices destroy them. Diana wanted excitement, validation, someone who made her feel special. She got Julian, and Julian gave her exactly what she deserved. I wanted peace, respect, and a space that was mine. I got all three. Some people might say I should have fought harder for my marriage, that I gave up too easily. But they didn't live it. They didn't feel the coldness, the manipulation, the months of lies. I did what I had to do, and I'd do it again. 1 year after the divorce, I ran into Diana at a grocery store. She looked tired, older. She saw me, hesitated, then came over. "Trevor, hi. Diana. How are you?" "Good. You?" "I'm managing." She looked at my cart. Wood glue, sandpaper, a 6-pack of beer. "Still doing woodworking?" "Yeah." "That's good. You were always good at that." We stood there awkwardly. Finally, she said, "I really am sorry for everything." "I know. Do you forgive me?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "No, but I don't hate you either. I just don't care anymore." She nodded, eyes wet. "That's fair. Take care, Diana." "You too." I walked away and didn't look back. Because that's the real revenge. Not anger, not bitterness, not some elaborate scheme. Just indifference. Just moving on and building a life that doesn't include them. Diana took my trust, my marriage, and 12 years of my life. But she didn't take my dignity. She didn't take my self-respect. And she sure as hell didn't take my guest room. That fortress I built? It wasn't just about having a space away from her. It was about reclaiming my autonomy, my independence, my right to exist on my own terms. And in the end, that's what mattered most. I'm Trevor Harlan. I'm a project manager, a woodworker, and a guy who learned that sometimes the best way to win is to stop playing their game and start playing your own. The guest room was just the beginning. Everything after that, that was me taking control of my life. One decision at a time. And I've never slept better.